Howdy! This is Stefan, Pissdrinker, and I am about to drink the Otter Creek and Lawson's Finest Liquids collaboration double dose double IPA. It's got the nice silly fun labels that Otter Creek has been doing for the last couple of years. And this one just came out in my area. I believe it was bottled on the 15th, so that means or 16th. It's a little messed up on the label here. So it's less than a month old, not insanely fresh, but definitely fresh enough. And I can tell just by looking in the bottle, there's a good amount of sediment on the bottom. And that tells you that it must have a lot of hops, and they did not let it condition very long at all to let all that drop to the bottom. So it means it's extra fresh, fresher than you might think, even if it says it's almost a month old. And comes in at like 8.5%, yeah, and 75 IBUs according to the website. Now, what I'm a little confused about with this one is whether there are locally grown, fresh or wet, undried hops in it. I believe there are some. The website says there's a dose of freshly harvested Vermont hops in it, and if you look at the video describing this on YouTube, you see them with bags of fresh hops they got from Vermont. But I also saw them with pellets, so I think that they use some wet hops and then also some probably dried hops. And in the video they got fresh Cascade hops from Vermont, but they don't tell you anywhere else about what other hops they use or anything like that. And I'm not sure if it's exactly the same way this year, because that video is from 2013. But I bet it's going to be pretty good. I have not tried this one, because in the past when I've seen it, I was like, I'm not really into IPAs and Otter Creek at that point. But now, I'll give it a go. Right when I opened the bottle, I got a nice whiff of tropical and citrus there that was enjoyable. So I'm going to try maybe to do a first pour here that doesn't get all of the sediment in there, and then maybe another one that gets more in there to see, how I perceive it differently. So here is the initial pour here. And yeah, there's a little bit of haze in there now. And it looks just, yep, I'd say, like they say on the website, orange haze is a pretty good description. Almost close to copper. The carbonation is pretty high. Not super high though, like some New England IPAs I find these days are. I can smell a little bit of booze and some bitterness on that nose. It's not super soft and tropical fruits to begin with. There's some spiciness, definitely. I guess it kind of reminds me when I had the Lawson's Sip of Sunshine a couple months ago. Very perfumey, actually floral perfume, kind of boozy smell, but not overwhelmingly so. Looks like my phone stopped recording briefly there, but I didn't even have a sip yet. My girlfriend had a sip though. So I was saying that the aroma isn't totally seem like it's a new wave hops or anything. Seems like it's pretty classic American hops, like the Cascade. But I don't know if I'm getting so much pine or anything like that. It's not quite a old-fashioned stone IPA or anything like that I'm getting in the aroma yet. Maybe a little bit of sort of peach, nectarine, or apricot, but it's not a tropical explosion salad like you find with some of these Mosaic and Galaxy IPAs. Alright, I'm finally going to taste it. Very juicy, very much like some fresh squeezed grapefruit and orange juice. A little bit softer and not as sharp and astringent. There's a good amount of bitterness in the finish, but it's still surprisingly juicy. It's got some nice kind of bergamot spice to it, like black pepper, and some bitterness like really strong brewed black Earl Grey tea. Yeah, it's not one of these total like pineapple coconut marshmallow things like I've had from, you know, Trillium or Night Shift or some places like that. It's kind of has that, I think they're going for a similar, something like Heady Topper and the Sip of Sunshine with this one, and it's pretty darn good. Okay, my damn phone stopped recording again. Hopefully it won't stop yet again. There's a nice car honking its horn too. So, I was talking about how it's got a little bit of that wet hop thing going on, which I think is different from what a lot of people think wet hop beers should be. They think they should be the most intense, resinous, bitter, hoppy experiences, but I think what you get in those wet hop beers is all those volatile oils and aromas that you lose quickly in the drying process and stuff like that. So you have this really floral, perfumey, delicate, soft aromas that are in these beers that include the fresh hops or wet hops. So it's not going to be the giant bitter hop bomb that you're used to. It's a different kind of experience because we're getting these different aromas and oils just popping out in the aroma that weren't even in the dried hops that were used in the super hoppy beers we've had and we're used to. And now I'm going to actually pour in some of the sediment there. You can see it's pretty hazy. You cannot see through that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it all. Now check that out. Very hazy. And it makes it look darker, but still the malt is not very caramely or toasty much at all. I'm not getting that. There's no sweet red fruits really going on with this one either. Surprisingly light and soft feel, though it has that spicy, peppery thing going on. And the finish does have a considerable amount of bitterness, but it's not overwhelmingly fatiguing. But I guess I have paused a few times while drinking this, so I haven't been able to sort of, you know, chug it. I wouldn't want to chug something like this. This is not crushable, a word I hate that's used, nor sessionable, unless you want to say that you're really cool. Oh yeah, I session 8.5% beers. And I buy cases of them so no one else can have it. The thing about this one is that it just kind of, it's very similar to some beers that we've all had before. So I'm not sure, it's hard to rate something like this because it's very high quality, very well done. I don't want to say that everyone has access to some double IPA as good as this one, but many people have access to this kind of double IPA most of the time. I'd like to think if you can seek it out and you know it's in your area, you might be able to find something that's good. But personally, I might prefer the beers, the hoppy beers with the newer hop varieties, especially these stronger ones, because eventually I'm starting to get that pine and that super bitter orange pith in this that just makes it a little bit, you know, after a while, too much for the palate. And it says 75 IBUs here, but that's, of course, a perceived subjective sort of thing. They rate it in some specific scientific scale, but it doesn't really mean anything according to your taste buds. But the aroma is still extremely fresh. I don't get any of that old piney bitter dirt twig hop thing going on at all. And I think that's in part because of the fresh hops and because they left it so hazy and unfiltered and just kind of clearly try to get this beer out from the tanks and the dry hopping process into the bottle and to the rest of everyone before it would lose anything. Like I say, basically beware of clear IPAs. They can be good, but they're always going to be missing something, especially if there's these fresh hopped IPAs. And this one, I think, has that special perfumey quality, but I don't know. I think I would probably want to split this with someone. A whole bomber of this would be a little hard to drink, because it is kind of like if you just had or just biting into a fresh grapefruit and a fresh orange. At the same time, a little intense bitterness, but it's balanced with the juiciness of those fresh hops. So I think I'd give probably just an 8 out of 10. I'd hate to keep giving that same score forever because it's just very well made, but it's kind of this is sort of the traditional New England style IPA that started, I think, with Heady Topper and those beers that were just very hazy and unfiltered and very dry hopped. But I feel like there's a new New England style that is coming out with beers like Trillium and Treehouse and that sort of thing, where it's all about the aroma and using interesting new hop varieties. But I'd recommend anyone who fancies himself a hophead to just get at least one bottle of this, and get it now, because it's only going to go down. Like, I wonder how I may have liked this a lot better if I had it, you know, a day after it was bottled, because it is almost a month old at this point. But definitely recommend it.